Okay, I just want to start by saying thank you so much for taking the time out to sit down and chat with me. I suppose we should start right at the beginning. How did you first discover burlesque?
I've been doing theatre and performing since I was about 11, 12-ish. So I've always been like a really theatrical person.
Hmm.
I've loved performing, but burlesque was never really something I thought I'd be able to do. That
Hmm.
I don't know, I just thought I'm not the right person. I don't know, conventionally kind of pretty or sexy and all these kind of different things. But there was a local burlesque teacher who actually has lessons on where I used to do youth theatre. And it was through there that I knew a few people that had done lessons with her before, Kitty Ribbons. And I started doing some courses and I just fell in love.
Hmm.
It's been one of the best things I've ever done, and like by far my favorite type of performing.
Hmm. We did an interview with Lily Delfleur a couple of months ago, and we talked about some of those sort of misconceptions about the art form. So, kind of, what does burlesque kind of mean to you? What do you like? What's your view of the art form?
I think the main thing to come away with is how diverse it is.
Mhm.
Not even just the people that perform burlesque, but there's so many different types of burlesque. It's not necessarily just the stereotypical image, maybe the Dita Von Teese that people
Mm.
would think. There's so many different facets, and in my opinion, I don't think there's a type of burlesque that's better than another. I
Mm.
don't think there's any I prefer. I think there's things that I obviously lean towards myself and
Mm.
styles that I more kind of I find I have more of an aptitude for. But it's just so diverse, and
Mm.
fundamentally it comes back to the art of tease, of strip tease,
Mm.
of revealing. But for me personally, I think it's about storytelling. No matter what, you're taking the audience
Mm.
on a journey, and together you're kind of taking them through a story.
Hmm. So when you first started attended those burlesque classes, what was your first thoughts and what was it? Because obviously I know if I was doing it, it's the idea of as you said, the tease would be something
Mm-hmm.
quite daunting, quite scary,
Mm-hmm.
intimidating. So what was that like as you were doing your classes?
It was a little like I think I was really lucky that the mentor I found, Kitty Ribbons, she was so supportive, and it was a really nice network of people that were at her classes,
Hmm.
and they were over about sort of like a 6 week period, so it was enough to dip my toe in, and I thought if I don't like it, if it's not for me, then that's okay. I don't have to commit
Hmm.
myself for life, and it was just such a safe space to perform. And again, it's people from all different ages. So there were people sort of in their like the youngest was kind of just about 20, people that were sort of 50s, 60s, from all sorts of backgrounds
Hmm.
and walks of life. And I think that's what made it so comforting, is that the community there that you find, like, it made me want to come back. And
Hmm.
even though we were doing things and sort of starting to understand how the art of tease works and bringing kind of dance elements into burlesque and things like that,
Hmm.
it didn't make it feel daunting because of that network.
Hmm. And so from those classes then, what was your first time doing your own solo performance or your first performance like? What was that moment like for you?
So my first solo performance was almost a year ago.
Oh.
So it was May last year, which feels really crazy to say that it's a almost been a year, but then also it's only been a year. Like I can't wrap my head around either personally. But it was quite nerve-wracking. So I was lucky that I've got such great family and friends that really support all the creative things I do. So
Hmm.
as soon as I told them I was doing this, they were like, "Great, get me a ticket. I'll see you there." So it was really nice to know that I had people in the audience that loved me and were
Hmm.
looking out for me. It was nerve-wracking. Like, I have been a performer for a while. I know that feeling of nerves
Hmm.
is a good feeling. So it's nice to kind of feel those butterflies before you go on.
Hmm.
And really, I was just hoping everything went right, which it did. Just thinking, please come off at the right time. But no, it's been amazing. Sort of those taking those butterflies and that feeling and the reaction to being on stage. Because
Hmm.
especially at like burlesque cabaret shows, whatever sort of show it is, there's such a lovely group of people that it attracts. Like,
Hmm.
it does attract the right kind of crowds, which is the best thing.
Hmm. And like, as I said in that Lily interview, we talked about how like the audience at the burlesque shows I've been to at least are
Mm.
literally there to support you. They're not
Yeah.
like there to kind of go, oh, this wasn't great. This is, oh, what's that?
Mhm.
They're literally there to enjoy it, and so they're that having that network is so important. One of the things you are making waves at the moment with is your Dairy Queen routine. So where did that
Mhm.
come from, and how did that come to be?
It's probably my favorite question. Whenever I perform it, someone says, "Where on earth did that idea come from?" And genuinely, I just love cows, which it sounds pretty silly, but it is very true. Like,
Hmm.
I think as a performer, my kind of tagline is that I am the storyteller of striptease. That's kind of my thing,
Hmm.
because there's so many different stories that I feel I've got to share and I've got to tell. And I like that there's some diversity and there's some unknown in that.
Hmm.
But I'm not typically what I'd call a comedy person, a funny person. I really didn't expect my to be on my third kind of burlesque performance and to be creating a comedy routine.
Hmm.
But it was vaguely inspired by a fancy dress costume I did a couple of years ago. The theme was legendary, and I went as Legs and Dairy.
Classic.
And what have we done? And I love cows, and I thought, you know what? I think this would be really funny. And
Hmm.
the idea, it felt like I was just trying to top myself with how weird can I make this routine.
Hmm.
So it started off with, oh, Milkshake is a song that people associate with cows. How many other songs can I find?
Hmm.
Or what does a cow do? It rolls on grass, you know? Let's get some fake grass involved. And in the end, it became this 7 minute, almost absurd art piece burlesque of just my love for cows.
And I hope it's not a spoiler, but there is one point in the routine where you get some milk out. Um,
Yeah.
what is it like doing that then? Because obviously that's something that a normal performer doesn't have
Mm-hmm.
to experience at a show. What was that moment like
Mm-hmm.
of pouring milk over yourself on stage?
It is incredible. I think the moment I pick up the carton of milk and I gesture it to the audience, it
Hmm.
takes them a little second to realize that's going on here. And I think it's the funniest thing is just watching and hearing everyone's brains kind of whirring, thinking what's going to happen next, which sums up the whole routine. But it is just so funny and it's so absurd. Like, it's nothing I ever thought I would do as a performer. And
Hmm.
I've done some wacky things, but I never thought I'd be on stage pouring milk all over myself, dressed as a cow with cow teats.
So, what has the audience reaction been like when you do that routine? What sort of reactions you usually get?
They've been amazing, to be honest.
Hmm.
Again, I've had a few people that have said that this is just they didn't think burlesque could be
Yeah,
this. That
totally.
it's so many things. It's silly, it's funny. There's storytelling. It's got spoken word and acting in it,
Hmm.
and really, it's just been such a positive reaction. So
Hmm.
I recently took the routine. I was at Hebden Bridge Burlesque Festival,
Hmm.
which is run by the Lady Wildflower, and I was performing in The Legend in the Making, which was just such an honour to be on that stage
Hmm.
for that festival, and again with such talented performers. But being able to perform that routine and seeing people from across the burlesque industry just laughing at me, rolling around on grass, and that they've just said your brain is just so weird, and I said thank you. That's my favourite compliment. Like,
I
the
I know when
reactions.
oh I know when I've seen the routine, like people
Mm,
are literally on the edge of their seats because you don't know what's
mm,
coming next. Like,
yeah.
as you said, you've got grass, you've got milk, you've got the outfit reveals,
Mhm,
and it's kind of that. What I really enjoy is that nice blend of sort of comedy, but it's still burlesque,
mhm,
very like what you expect from a burlesque show,
mhm,
but as a cow. Like, yeah. Um. So talking about performances, the first time I saw
mhm,
the Dairy Queen routine was at the Del Fleur show.
mhm.
What was it like performing alongside the Del Fleurs?
Oh gosh, it was so lovely. So I met Lily at a local show to where I'm from in Stroud. And again, she was so lovely. And I know a few people that have performed with her in the Dells. So
Hmm.
when she messaged me about performing, it was just an absolute yes. And it was my first ever show outside of my sort of home county as well,
Okay.
which is really exciting. So I'm not
Hmm.
too far from Cardiff, but again, it's just nice for me as someone who is just starting out on their burlesque journey
Hmm.
to start taking those steps and kind of venturing out, seeing who's out there, what's out there.
Hmm.
But just Lily was so lovely and so welcoming, and just everyone involved in Del Fleur Productions could not have been warmer and kinder and more welcoming and so talented.
Was so obviously the Delphler show took place in St Andrew's Church.
Mm.
Was there a moment when you walked in and went, "This is a church building"? Was there that sort of we're doing a burlesque show in a church?
Pretty much straight away, I was like, this is incredible. I mean, what an amazing and unique and
Hmm.
incredible venue, and especially to have a burlesque show. And I know I've seen some of the other things they host at the venue, and it just
Hmm.
looks like such an incredible space that the community is so lucky to have.
Hmm.
But in terms of doing it there, I think again, it's when it gets to that milk pour that I realise I was like, I'm doing this in a church. I'm pouring milk on myself, mostly naked in a church. I think that was the real realization moment for me.
Hmm. And how did you get feedback from that performance? Did you feel the audience enjoy it?
Oh gosh, absolutely. So I got some amazing photos and videos
Hmm.
from some people that are doing photography, and then just some of the audience members, and just the love that Daisy, the Dairy Queen, gets is just amazing. That
Hmm.
people just enjoy it, because at the end of the day, I made something silly that makes me laugh, and I'm having so much fun performing it. So if other people laugh, that's just a bonus for me.
So the next time I saw you perform then was at Cowboys Comedy. When you had that invite to the event,
hmm
obviously it's a comedy event. Was there a bit of you that went, "Oh, will this work at this style of event?"
I think because of the theme of my routine, I had absolutely no doubts that this was the place
Hmm.
for the Dairy Queen. You know, I think I just couldn't believe that there was a kind of a cowboy themed comedy show. I think it's such a brilliant niche, and
Hmm.
I think especially at the moment it's quite a popular theme
Yeah.
in terms of style and influence, that I just think it's such a brilliant idea. And as soon as I got a message about joining, I just thought this would be absolutely perfect for me. And again, Cardiff a second week in a row. So I
Hmm.
made my Cardiff debut, and then I was back the next week. Can't get enough of me. But no, it was such a brilliant show. And I think because it is such a high energy, it's a funny routine, and it's
Hmm.
got those moments of storytelling, and especially with the dialogue, I think that really helped it fit into the show and not just feel like a burlesque routine had been added. I think it really lended
Yeah.
itself to the sort of the story that Cowboys comedy creates, and the
Hmm.
whole kind of narrative that it has.
Yeah, and obviously I was in attendance at that show, and I was
Mhm.
front row, and I luckily enough got some oat milk thrown at me.
You're welcome.
So what was it like then? I know you touched on it a bit, but what was it like
Mhm.
performing at that event, the Cowboys Comedy Show at Revolution?
That again, it was different in the sense that obviously with the Delphi Productions, that was pretty much mostly burlesque
Hmm.
versus being the only burlesque performer. So sometimes that can feel more daunting, because I think there is a worry of, are the audience ready for you?
Hmm.
Are they ready? Are they ready for burlesque? Are they ready for a cow? Um, it's hard not to make cow jokes pretty much 24/7. But it was a little bit more daunting, but
Hmm.
I think the way that the show is run and hosted, it brings the energy. It kind of sets the tone of, this is our theme, this
Hmm.
is what we're going with. And the rest of the comedians that were performing there were so funny. I was sat backstage in my cow onesie just laughing along with everyone else at all the jokes. So I had a great time. But but no, it felt like a really good fit. So even if I was a little worried about being kind of the burlesque performer, it
Hmm.
didn't feel like one bit whatsoever. And I
Really?
felt really welcomed by obviously all the performers and the audience as well.
Oh, fantastic. So we are coming to the end of my questions, but I've got a few more. What's your advice for new performers, people wanting to get into burlesque or into the performing industry?
Gosh, I think there's so many things I could say.
Hmm.
I think one of the biggest things is that you never ever stop learning.
Mhm.
So I started studying. I went to a theatre college when I was younger, and then I went on to university, and I've done workshops and lectures, and I continue to book in different like workshops with people. So whether it's dance, whether it's acting, or specifically burlesque, whether it's in disciplines that I've never studied in before. I
Hmm.
think there's such an importance in remembering that you can keep learning from other people and other practices and disciplines, because I think it's only going to shape the way that you perform and what you can create, and
Hmm.
in turn then being able to share that knowledge with other people. And I'd also say for me the big thing is there is such a space for everyone and everything out there. There is
Hmm.
such a space for your stories, what you've got to create, and who you are. So is to remember to make the things that you want to make that make
Hmm.
you happy.
And like I suppose, like you said earlier, you're having fun performing. Therefore, the audience are in on it. They're having fun watching you perform and enjoying the routine as well. So, oh,
Exactly.
where can people stay up to date with you? Where can people follow you?
Yeah, so the best place is probably my Instagram, which is just Ana.Toxin. So that's probably the place I'm most active. And then any shows, anything I'm doing, all goes on my link tree, which again is just Ana.Toxin, nice and simple. Or I've got my Facebook account, Ana
Hmm.
Toxin. Surprise.
So, what is next? What things have you got coming up? Where can we see you in the near future?
Yeah, so I've got a few local gigs planned
Mhm.
with a few different routines. So I'm leaving the cow teats at home for a Christmas time, but I'm doing something a little bit different. Again, as the storyteller of striptease, there are many stories to be told. So I've got some nice local gigs, and fingers crossed, hopefully some shows a little bit further afield, potentially even London in the next couple of
Ooh.
months, but they'll be announced soon.
So that's the end of my questions, but I will end the same way I started, just by saying thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and chat with me. As I've said and I've made clear, the Dairy Queen routine is one of my favorite things I've seen in a very long
Gosh,
time.
thank
It's
you.
absolutely incredible. But yes,
Thank you. Oh
thank
yeah,
you.
it's been lovely to talk to you.
Yes, lovely to chat, and I shall speak to you soon.
Sounds brilliant. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.